The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Part 1. From Dependence to Independence. Imagine 2 people standing at the same starting line. They have similar intelligence, similar opportunities, similar dreams, yet, 10 years later, their lives look completely different. One person has built meaningful relationships, developed discipline, earned respect, and created a life aligned with their values. The other remains trapped in constant reaction, blaming circumstances, chasing temporary motivation, and feeling that life is happening to them instead of being shaped by them. What creates such a difference? Stephen Covey argued that true effectiveness does not come from quick tricks, productivity hacks, or motivational slogans. It comes from principles, timeless principles, principles that remain true regardless of culture, technology, or circumstance, and the journey toward effectiveness begins with a profound transformation, moving from dependence to independence. As children, we depend on others. As teenagers, we seek freedom, but many adults never truly become independent. They allow their emotions to be controlled by external events. They blame the economy, they blame their families, they blame their bosses, they blame bad luck. Their happiness depends on conditions outside themselves. Highly effective people choose another path. They understand one simple truth: between what happens to us and how we respond, there is a space, and inside that space lies our greatest power, the power to choose. That idea leads us to the first habit. Habit 1. Be proactive. Being proactive does not mean being endlessly busy. It does not mean waking up at 5 in the morning or answering emails faster than everyone else. It means recognizing that you are responsible for your choices. Life happens, unexpected problems appear, people disappoint us, plans fail, but effective people understand that while they cannot control everything around them, they can always control their response. Reactive people speak differently. They say, "I can't do anything about it. That's just who I am. If only my circumstances were different." Their language reflects powerlessness. Proactive people use different words. "Let's find another solution. What can I learn from this? How can I improve the situation?" Their focus remains on what they can influence. Imagine 2 students failing an important exam. The first student blames the teacher. He complains for weeks. He tells everyone that the system is unfair. The second student feels disappointed too, but after a short moment of frustration, he asks himself a different question: what can I do better next time? One becomes a victim, the other becomes a creator. The event was identical, the response changed everything. Covey introduced the concept of the circle of concern and the circle of influence. The circle of concern includes everything we worry about: politics, weather, economic conditions, other people's opinions. The circle of influence contains the things we can actually affect: our habits, our attitude, our preparation, our effort. Highly effective people spend their energy expanding their circle of influence. Ineffective people waste their lives complaining about things they cannot change. The lesson is simple: the quality of your life improves when you focus on what lies within your control. Every single day presents opportunities to practice this principle. When someone criticizes you, when a project fails, when life becomes unfair, you always possess the freedom to choose your response, and that freedom is the beginning of effectiveness. But choosing your response is only the first step. The next question becomes, where are you actually going? That brings us to habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. Imagine attending your own funeral. Friends, family members, colleagues, and loved ones gather together. One by one, they stand up to speak about your life. What would you want them to say? Would you want them to describe you as successful, generous, wise, loving, courageous, reliable? Most people spend years climbing ladders without ever asking whether the ladder is leaning against the right wall. They achieve goals that ultimately fail to bring fulfillment. They become busy without becoming meaningful. Habit 2 invites us to reverse that pattern. To define our destination before beginning the journey. Everything is created twice. First in the mind, then in reality. Architects design buildings before construction begins. Pilots establish flight plans before takeoff. Successful individuals create a personal vision before pursuing achievement. Without vision, activity becomes chaos. Modern society constantly pushes us toward urgency: answer messages, complete tasks, chase opportunities, move faster. But effectiveness requires something deeper. Clarity. It demands that we ask difficult questions. What truly matters? What kind of person do I want to become? What principles will guide my decisions? What legacy will I leave behind? These questions cannot be answered in a single afternoon. They require reflection, silence, honesty. Covey encouraged people to create a personal mission statement, not a list of goals, not a collection of ambitions, but a statement describing who they intend to be, because goals can be achieved and forgotten. Identity remains. A person whose mission centers on service approaches work differently. A parent whose mission emphasizes love behaves differently during stressful moments. A student whose mission values growth learns differently than one obsessed only with grades. The end shapes the present. Every decision gains meaning when connected to a larger purpose. Without purpose, discipline becomes exhausting. With purpose, sacrifice becomes meaningful. Think about a ship crossing an ocean. Storms will come, waves will rise, visibility may disappear, but if the destination remains clear, the captain continues moving forward. Life works the same way. Your personal vision becomes your compass, and once you know where you are going, another challenge appears. How do you prioritize what matters most? That question introduces habit 3. Put first things first. Most people spend their lives responding to urgency, notifications, deadlines, requests, problems, emergencies. They become experts at putting out fires, but effectiveness requires more than activity. It requires prioritization. Covey divided life into 4 categories: urgent and important, important but not urgent, urgent but not important, neither urgent nor important. The greatest transformation occurs within the second category: important but not urgent. Exercise, learning, building relationships, planning, reading, thinking, developing skills. These activities rarely demand immediate attention. Nobody forces us to read 10 pages today. Nobody sends emergency alerts reminding us to strengthen friendships, yet these actions determine the quality of our future. Highly effective people protect time for what matters before crises emerge. They exercise before health problems appear. They invest in relationships before loneliness arrives. They prepare before opportunities knock. In contrast, many people live entirely within urgency. They wait, they react, they postpone, and eventually, important matters become emergencies. The challenge is not managing time, the challenge is managing ourselves. Saying yes to everything means saying no to what matters most. Discipline, therefore, becomes an expression of values. Imagine placing large rocks into a glass jar. If you fill the jar with sand first, the rocks no longer fit, but if you place the large rocks first, the sand naturally settles around them. Life operates according to the same principle: family, health, growth, character, purpose. These are the large rocks, everything else must fit around them. Not the other way around. The world constantly rewards busyness, but busyness and effectiveness are not identical. Some people climb mountains only to discover they climbed the wrong mountain. Others move slowly but deliberately toward meaningful destinations. The difference lies in priorities. Putting first things first requires courage: the courage to disappoint people, the courage to decline opportunities, the courage to protect time for what truly matters. Ultimately, effectiveness begins within. Before leading others, we must lead ourselves. Before changing organizations, we must change our habits. Before creating impact in the world, we must establish inner discipline. The first 3 habits form the foundation of independence. Be proactive. Take responsibility. Begin with the end in mind. Define your purpose. Put first things first. Align your daily actions with your deepest values. These principles may appear simple, yet their consistent application transforms lives. The journey toward effectiveness does not happen overnight. It happens through thousands of choices. 1 decision at a time. 1 habit at a time. 1 day at a time. And once we achieve independence, a new challenge emerges: learning how to work with others, learning how to create relationships based on trust, respect, and mutual benefit. That is where the next stage of the journey begins: the movement from independence toward interdependence. And that is the subject of Part 2. Part 2, from independence to interdependence. There comes a moment in every person's life when personal success is no longer enough. You can master your habits, you can build discipline, you can define your purpose, you can organize your priorities, but eventually, every meaningful achievement leads to the same realization: no one succeeds alone. The entrepreneur needs a team, the leader needs trust, the parent needs understanding, the student needs mentors. Human beings are connected by invisible threads, and the quality of those connections determines the quality of our lives. True greatness begins when we stop asking, "How can I win?" and start asking, "How can we grow together?" For many people, life feels like a competition. Resources seem limited, opportunities appear scarce. If someone else succeeds, they believe they must lose. This mindset creates fear, comparison, jealousy, and endless conflict. But highly effective individuals operate differently. They understand that collaboration often creates possibilities that competition alone can never achieve. Imagine 2 business partners negotiating a difficult decision. 1 insists on winning every argument, the other seeks solutions that benefit everyone involved. Years later, which partnership survives? Which organization grows? Which individuals continue building meaningful work together? The answer becomes obvious. Relationships built on mutual respect outlast victories built on domination. Real influence is not about control. It is about trust, and trust cannot be demanded. It must be earned. Every conversation, every promise, every act of integrity becomes a small deposit into an invisible emotional account. When that account is full, people forgive mistakes, they offer support, they believe in your intentions. But when trust disappears, even simple misunderstandings become major conflicts. That is why listening matters more than speaking. Most people listen with one objective: to respond. They prepare arguments before understanding perspectives. They search for opportunities to prove themselves right. Yet genuine connection requires something far more difficult: presence, the ability to suspend judgment, the willingness to understand another human experience without immediately filtering it through our own. Beliefs. Imagine a father speaking with his teenage son. The father already believes he knows the problem. He offers solutions before hearing the entire story. The son feels misunderstood. Distance grows. Now imagine another approach. The father asks questions. He listens. He seeks understanding before giving advice. The conversation changes completely. People rarely resist solutions they help create. Understanding opens doors that authority alone cannot unlock, and once understanding exists, something remarkable happens. Differences stop being threats, they become strengths. The world teaches us to seek people who think like us, who agree with us, who confirm our existing beliefs, but progress often emerges from diversity, different experiences, different backgrounds, different perspectives. Innovation lives where ideas collide. A team of identical thinkers rarely discovers extraordinary solutions. Families become stronger when every voice matters. Organizations thrive when disagreement leads to creativity rather than conflict. The challenge is learning to transform differences into opportunities instead of battles. That requires humility. The humility to admit that we do not possess every answer, the courage to recognize wisdom in perspectives unlike our own, and perhaps that is one of life's greatest lessons. Independence is important, but interdependence is powerful. The strongest individuals are not those who isolate themselves, they are the ones who elevate others while continuing to grow themselves. Because in the end, success shared becomes success multiplied, and that realization prepares us for the final stage of the journey, the understanding that growth itself must never stop, that even the most effective people need renewal, need reflection, need rest, need continuous improvement, and that is where our final chapter begins. Part 3. Lifelong renewal. There is a strange belief that many people carry throughout their lives. They believe that one day, they will finally arrive. One day, they will become successful enough, wise enough, strong enough, complete enough, and after that moment, growth will no longer be necessary. But life does not work that way. Mountains have new peaks, dreams create new dreams. Every achievement opens the door to another challenge. The most effective individuals understand something important. Growth is not a destination. It is a lifelong practice. The greatest danger is not failure. It is stagnation. It is waking up every day with the same thoughts, the same routines, the same limitations, without questioning whether we are still becoming better versions of ourselves. Imagine a woodcutter working tirelessly in a forest, hour after hour. He swings his axe day after day. He becomes more exhausted, yet the trees take longer and longer to fall. A passerby asks him a simple question. When was the last time you sharpened your axe? The woodcutter replies, I don't have time. I'm too busy cutting trees. How many of us live exactly like that? We work endlessly. We chase responsibilities. We move from one task to another, but we forget to renew ourselves. We forget to sharpen the tools that make everything else possible. Our bodies, our minds, our relationships, our inner purpose. True effectiveness requires renewal, not occasionally, but consistently. Physical renewal begins with respect for the body. The modern world encourages comfort. Sit longer, move less, sleep later, consume more, yet energy remains the foundation of achievement. Without health, ambition becomes difficult. Without strength, opportunities lose their meaning. Movement is not simply about appearance. It is about vitality, walking, exercising, sleeping well, eating with awareness. These small acts become investments in future possibilities. A healthy body gives the mind freedom to create. Mental renewal requires curiosity. The moment we believe we know everything, growth ends. The world changes rapidly. Technology evolves, industries transform, new ideas emerge every day. Those who stop learning eventually become prisoners of outdated thinking. Reading expands perspectives, reflection deepens understanding, silence organizes chaos. The strongest minds are not necessarily the smartest, they are the most adaptable. They remain students, regardless of age or success. Emotional renewal may be even more important. Human beings are not machines. We carry stress, disappointment, regret, fear. Many people learn to hide their emotions, few learn to understand them. Meaningful relationships require emotional investment, friendships require time, families require presence, trust requires consistency, love requires attention. The people who matter most rarely ask for perfection, they ask for connection, and connection demands that we slow down long enough to truly see one another. Then comes spiritual renewal, religion, meaning, purpose, values. The quiet understanding that life is larger than achievement alone. Every culture throughout history has created spaces for reflection, moments of gratitude, practices of contemplation. Because human beings need more than productivity, they need significance. The question is not, what am I doing? The deeper question becomes, why am I doing it? Purpose transforms ordinary actions into meaningful experiences. A teacher shaping young minds. A parent raising children. An entrepreneur creating opportunities. A student preparing for the future. Meaning gives endurance to effort. Without meaning, even success can feel empty. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of lifelong growth. Balance matters. Modern society celebrates extremes. Work harder, sleep less, push further, never stop. But sustainable excellence requires rhythm, activity and Recovery, action and reflection, discipline and joy. The strongest trees survive storms because they bend with the wind. The strongest individuals understand when to move forward and when to pause. Renewal is not weakness. It is wisdom. Every great performer understands this principle. Athletes rest, musicians practice fundamentals, artists step away from their work to see it differently. Leaders create time for thinking. Improvement requires both effort and restoration. Life itself follows this pattern. Seasons change, days become nights, nature teaches balance everywhere we look. Perhaps we should listen more carefully. At the end of the journey, effectiveness is not measured by money or titles. Or recognition. It is measured by alignment. The alignment between values and actions, between ambitions and principles, between who we are and who we aspire to become. The person who continually renews themselves remains capable of growth regardless of age or circumstance. They understand that every day offers another opportunity, another lesson, another beginning, and so the journey continues. Not toward perfection, but toward progress, not toward control, but toward wisdom, not toward individual achievement alone, but toward a life that enriches others as well. Because the most remarkable people are not those who merely succeed, they are those who continue becoming. They remain students, they remain curious, they remain grateful, and through that commitment to renewal, they discover a simple truth. The greatest project you will ever work on is yourself, and that project is never truly finished.